Hello, it's hot fun in the summertime here on the Deliver More Show, brought to you by the team here at Intech Services. I'm Nick, and here today with me is the man we call Wolf, Chris Lord. Wolf, how we doing today?
Happy summer, man. Starting to change.
It is starting to change. You know, I always say in the summertime, when the weather is hot, you can reach right up and touch the sky. When the weather's warm, you've got coating. You've got Teflon on your mind. Is that correct?
I do.
That's what the old song says. Wolf is here today with me. We're going to talk about some common problems as well as some solutions that coders might encounter over the summer months. It's a challenging time for people in our trade, right?
For sure. It's challenging in a lot of ways. The weather is one factor, but then you have, the whole staffing and vacation and things like that. So, it's a strain on all businesses, and we always see it in the summertime, especially like mid-June to late August.
Right.
Where, resources just, people are on vacation and they're just not available. So.
Right. But the good thing is today we can put in a plan of attack and we can hit it strategically. So these things don't pop up and surprise us. As long as we're prepared, we're good to go. So you ready to walk us through some of these?
Sure.
All right, my man. Now, I hear this a lot, that old phrase, hey, it's not the heat, it's the humidity, right? Which they really have to stop reporting. I don't need weather if conditions are perfect. But the as far as humidity and sweating creating problems in the industry, what kind of issues come up?
Well, depending, there's humidity everywhere. I mean, some areas of the country are worse than others. Like here, some days you go outside and it's like pea soup out there. I mean, it's terrible. And with metal parts, you have the whole issue where they, as they're waiting, in process, and if you're not, don't have the adequate temperature control and things like that, they can sweat. They can be wet, and you could coat them. I mean, the only problem is you're going to get a lot of appearance problems. So, there will be staining, and, in a lot of cases, they just don't pass the eye test. And as much as we're not a decorative coating, it still has to look good.
Sure.
And, so that water that's present can be a real problem. And one of the ways that, you can bypass or mitigate that problem is to, you can preheat parts before you coat them.
Right.
Yeah, it'll dissolve the water or evaporate, and then it will also allow for, the coatings that you apply. It's a big concern there, too, because our solvent-based coatings, some of them are worse than others, but can actually draw the moisture from the air, and that hot part will help mitigate that situation.
Okay.
So, and again, sometimes the coders are their own worst enemies. Everybody likes the open bay door, and, hey, let's get some air in here because the coating environment is going to be naturally hot.
Of course.
You have ovens in there that are running at 700, 800 degrees Fahrenheit. So they're trying to, minimize that situation. They'll throw the bay doors open. Yeah. And now you're just kind of introducing the humidity at that point. So, and, you have parts that are waiting. I mean, you have a capacity. Sometimes you're a little over capacity, and it's just hard to, get everything from point A to point B as quickly as possible without having that humidity have an effect. So, again, we're sometimes our own worst enemies when it comes to trying to mitigate humidity because we're bringing it right in the house.
Right. It's a sort of a natural pitfall to fall into, right? I want to get some of this air moving. Is it? Can I ask a novice's question? Is this almost like if I were painting in the summertime, I'd want to do it way early in the morning, or I'd want to do I don't even know if I'd touch it at night. Yeah. But does that make a difference too?
It does. You can stage your work. Early in the morning might be a great opportunity to humidity hasn't really picked up that much.
Right.
Depending upon how many shifts you run, later it could be better as well. But like that midday can be really tough, and so maybe there's certain days you want to avoid that and do that. But it all depends on the workload, and workloads are inconsistent sometimes now.
Okay.
You know, with supply chain issues and things like that. So.
All right. Yeah, I want to get back to you on that one. And I also want to touch back on this one, too, because the opening the bay doors, now I feel bad for these hypothetical coders because it is very much the go-to. Like, open a window. My grandparents were notorious for always detecting a nice breeze.
Yeah, I don't want to be shut in.
Yeah. There's a nice breeze. We don't have to turn the air on. Those bay doors being open, they have to cause a host of problems, right? So as far as we're looking at that, you open those bay doors, you're also inviting contaminants in.
Could be.
And so that's another problem that I think our audience would want us to get into.
For sure. You know, this time of year, especially in Delaware and other areas, you know, you have pollens everywhere.
Sure.
We're getting past that now at this point, but, you know, the bug situation, you know, we have gnats. Everybody has those. I mean, I feel like it's like the breeding ground is here in Delaware at times. But, you know, those things can, you know, they get attracted to, you know, it might be the scent. It could be anything. But, you know, they could land on parts.
Okay.
And, you know, now all of a sudden you have a couple surface defects that you're like, you know, how'd that get there?
Right.
You know, I didn't see that. Or, you know, when you're coding, especially batches of parts, I mean, you might not see every single one of them and might not notice that, you know, some, you know, pollen or dirt. It doesn't necessarily have to be outside either. It could be inside contaminants with, you know, the grip blast process, which is naturally dirty. So you want to try to shut that off if at all possible. And again, it comes back to getting parts from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and not just having them sit
around.
You know, especially wet parts. Like, you know, unfortunately, we got a backlog in the oven. We got a bottleneck here, and I can't get the pieces in, and things are just sitting there wet, and they're just accumulating whatever's going on, whether it be outside or stuff that's going on in the shop.
So let me throw this one in there then. I said I want to get back to it. How does you want to move parts along from one stage to another quickly. But let's talk about parts. How does our current supply chain issue or issues, how's that affecting this particular problem?
Sure. Well, one of the complaints that I'm hearing from our customers is that supply chain is so disrupted. Like, they get a flood of parts, process them, and then they're waiting.
Okay.
You know, and then all of a sudden, bang, they get, you know, hit again, which there's just not that consistency out there that, you know, coders that have been doing, you know, codings for 50 years, 60 years, whatever, I've been used to.
Okay.
It's like a feast or famine type of situation, all or nothing, and it really just stresses out the, you know, the capacity in the shop. You know, I was talking to one guy who said, you know, one week I was here, I was offering overtime, and the next week I have guys painting the walls because, you know, there's no parts here right now.
Wow.
And so it's definitely becoming a challenge for customers to manage, and it becomes a problem for us as well because, you know, we forecast with Chemours, and you know, there's this roller coaster ride that everybody's on, whether it be, you know, getting parts in or us having material, or, you know, all of a sudden we had a run and now we're out of material, and, you know, things like that. So it's hopefully it's something that you know, gets corrected sooner than later, but we're still on that ride, unfortunately.
Still hitting you a bit. Okay, good. All right, well, we're walking through. This is good. I'm learning a lot. And now, as far as something that's pretty consistent in the summertime, well, here in the Northeast, I guess I should say, storms. They don't really last that long in the summer months, right? But tell me a little bit about storm damage, electrical issues, problems that can cause some of the people that are listening.
Well, you know, with storms, you do have obviously the humidity issue. I mean, there's definitely probably like 100% at that time. But, you know, the electricity in the air, I mean, one is really, I mean, for powder coaters and guys that are spraying powders, they're already utilizing electrostatics and electricity to apply the material. You know, there could be extra charge in the air that could create a problem with, you know, like a back ionization situation, or just not safe. And, you know, thunderstorms aren't, you know, they're not something that lasts. There's not like a 4-hour thunderstorm where you're just like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? But, you know, maybe, you know, during those period of times, maybe you want to maybe focus on something else during that time, and maybe not do, you know, that process at that particular moment. It might be 10 or 15 minutes. Because like I said, it could create a world of rework that it's just better off just to not do that that particular job at that time.
So cut down on the spraying at that particular time.
Right. And, there's other things. I mean, there's so many other processes from, grit blasting to masking and things like that people could focus on during that time and stay away from the electrostatics.
All right. Good advice there, too. Cut back on that. Adults only swim. Everybody out of the pool for 15 minutes or so.
Don't run with scissors, right?
Okay, yeah. All right. Continuing our summer analogies and metaphors here. Let's say I'm in a summer rental. Remember those days when you get a rental with like 6 other people, 8 other people? What am I?
I'm still in those days now.
No, yeah, I know. Wolfie and I have a beach house down on McKinley. There's about 20 of us in there. You wake up one morning and you realize, what the heck? Somebody left this out. It should have been in the fridge. Now, in the beach houses I've been in, we don't have acid primer, but I know this is an issue for a lot of people in the industry and that particular product. Take me into this process and some of the problems that you see.
What we're referring to really here is the premix acid primer, 850G204. And it's a unique product. Its performance is second to none. It's one of the greatest products that the Teflon Group ever invented, discovered, made, whatever you want to call it. But it has specific handling. I mean, it needs to be refrigerated, and what you're doing there is just maintaining that shelf life and maintaining that product consistency by the refrigeration.
Okay.
And I look at my product line. I mean, I know my product line really well. I only have to sell one line. I'm not managing nylon or another fluoropolymer or, ECTFE. So, as a coder, you may not be totally familiar with the handling of all products, and that primer can sit out just like the other products do. When I spray 851G224, I put it right back on the shelf, when I'm done with it.
Okay.
And I forgot acid primer has to go in the fridge. Now it's sat out. Maybe I don't touch it every day. Maybe I touch it weekly, and it just sat out for a week. So what ends up happening now is you're starting to affect that shelf life and that ability to reincorporate the material so you get consistent spray. So it is important when you use it, pour what you need, just get it back in the fridge. And that material has gotten pretty expensive over the years, and you just want to make sure that you're caring for it. And then when you look at the end uses for the acid primer, you have a lot of aerospace stuff. So it's really important that you're spraying fresh, consistent material and putting a really good coating on there. And so you do need to take that extra step to realize that product is refrigerated. I should get it back in the fridge. And if you have a problem with that, we have an alternative. I mean, we have a product that it's a mix as you go that doesn't require the refrigeration.
There it is. Okay.
Not to say that it's idiot proof, but you can put it back on the shelves, with the other products if that becomes an issue for you. So we have both products here. They both work great.
And that there's no guesswork in that particular situation. Then it's a kind of a customer favorite, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I think most like to go with the kind of, let's say, idiot proof, but the already mixed version. It's just, you put it on the roller, you reincorporate it for 15 to 30 minutes, and, it's ready to go.
Absolutely.
Fire away. So the other one takes a little bit more talent. Got to get your mixture right and a bit more scientific. So.
All right. I'll study up for that one. We'll get into that next time.
We'll talk about it next time.
And now here's something I think is really important to focus on. Another issue that the summer months kind of bring on and highlight a little bit is just how worn out, how fatigued your team can get working in some of these environments. So how if I'm running a shop, what are some of the problems I should look for? And then I'm going to ask you about the solutions.
In the famous words of Allen Iverson, fatigues are army clothes, are they not?
Wow. I'm so glad you didn't say talking about practice. I am so glad. We're going to have to edit that out.
But coder fatigue is a real thing. I mean, we just talked about, you have the roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, we're crazy busy right now. And really this, with anybody, with any work that you're doing is maintaining that focus. And Teflon, there's only so many ways to do it. And you've got to stay focused. You got to stick to, the best practices. And, when that fatigue starts setting in, you start cutting corners, you start, doing things, or actually, if any of us have ever, worked in the heat, you start doing things and you kind of like lose your sense of space and time. You're just like, oh my gosh, I need to walk away. So it's really important, as a a manager or a shop owner, is that, little things like, hey, I have a consistent water supply, or I brought, case of Gatorade in for the guys just to keep them fresh, get the electrolytes back in and manage that situation, because once things start going sideways, sadly, a lot of times they don't manifest until the end of the process, and you look at the parts and you're like, wow, what happened to these? And the only way to fix is to do it again.
I was going to say, you start over.
Piled more work back on top. So, giving the guys a chance to walk away for 15, 20 minutes. I mean, hell, I'm working in an environment that's 68 to 70 degrees, and you put a couple hours in it. Sometimes you got to walk away and just be like, I got to recharge my battery and just step away from this for a second. And, having that understanding and allowing your guys to do that, they're not just because they don't want to work. And I'll be honest, guys I talk to out there in the industry, having a good coder and having good guys on the shop floor is a definite value. I mean, there's not a lot of them out there. They can be hard to find. So, take care of the guys that are banging out your work. And understand, get the right setup for them. If I'm spraying and I'm spraying a lot of parts and I'm using a 16 ounce or 24 ounce container, siphon feed, and I it's full, I'm gonna get tired.
Right.
Maybe we go to maybe I make an investment in a pressure pot and have that material ready and sitting there, and I'm just holding the gun, and that weight, first 10, 15 sprays probably really good.
Yeah.
Spray number, part number 50, part number 100. And probably having some diminishing returns at that point.
Right.
So, have the right, systems in place for your people too. That they're not like, well, I wish I had this, or, well, you make me use this, this heavy gun, and that's all we have. And, kind of eliminate some of the excuses. So.
Yeah. Well, I like you said something to me before trying to explain something. Wolf's been really good teaching me about the industry. When you said, Teflon is a refined process, and you said there's no like, well, I'm just switching things up today and doing it this way.
Exactly.
When the environment is a little oppressive, we do tend to cut corners. Sometimes we don't even know.
Yeah.
So having a plan of attack, and making sure you take care of your people is absolutely. I have to think it's absolutely critical right now.
It is, and for sure. And in the summer months is it gets more. There's obviously more fatigue factor setting in as guys are getting dehydrated in there, and you got the guy in the blast room that's wearing the blast suit, and it's 100+ degrees in the facility. I mean, that guy's getting worn out in a heartbeat. I mean, he's sweating his ass off doing his work, and if he's not taking care of himself, he's going to be calling out.
Yeah.
Now, and now you got the whole. Staffing situation where
that's what I was going to ask.
I got heat stroke yesterday in the blast room. I'm not working today, or you have guys doing extra duties now because you have a vacation situation.
Somebody's on vacation. Yeah,
people are out. So again, it's just important that you really be mindful to your staff and how they're feeling and trying to help them out. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. Yeah. But we had a situation I remember years ago when we were starting the Coder 1 piece where I think Mike sent one of our coders flavor ices, or the Otter Pop things, where it's just a sugar boost, where the guy's like, well, I give my people these Otter Pops or whatever the heck they call them, flavor ices, and it's kind of a nice gesture. You just go in the fridge, you cut the top off, you eat it, and it's very refreshing. And I believe Mike sent him like a case, or not a case, a pallet full.
Wow.
For the summer, and they were like super appreciative, and those things are actually really cheap. So, but it's a small gesture, but it goes a long way. It makes you feel like wow, that guy really cares about how I feel out here, and I'm sure guys are probably banging down a dozen a day.
Well, sure, it makes a difference just to know somebody's caring and thinking about you. I'm sure. It seems like the summer can pose a certain amount of problems for coders and people that listen to Deliver More. But it seems like just having a strategy and just not letting it hit you, just having some sort of strategy can save the day is what the point we want to leave you with.
Save the day whether hot or not. I mean,
Gotcha.
we always talk about when you're looking at a part, what's your plan of attack?
Yeah.
Like how are you going after this part? And again, because it's all about consistency. It's about repeatability, doing the same thing over and over again, and doing it well. And again, like I said, when the heat's oppressive, that focus gets lost.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes, you just like, I just went off track there for the last, 15, 20 minutes, half hour. And, unfortunately what I was producing was not acceptable.
A little subpar.
Again, we're, like I said, with Teflon, it's do it again.
Nice.
Start from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, look, we don't have to do it again or start from the beginning. I think we covered this, right? We nailed some of the common problems that people run into, and we also tried to provide a number of solutions today. So, Wolf, I can't thank you enough for sitting down and talking to us.
No, it's a pleasure. Like I said, it's always nice to sit down and talk about these, these issues versus writing them. And again, this is feedback we gather from our visits, and we are getting back out on the road again, coders. So hopefully we'll be out to see you soon. And it's always good to get a pulse for what's going on in the shops and how guys are handling situations. And we're relaying a lot of the information that our coders have shared with us. So keep the share going.
Absolutely, keep the share going. Keep communicating. In that spirit, Wolf, heading out for the summer. You going away?
We're doing the beach thing.
Doing the beach thing?
Doing the beach thing, yeah.
All right.
Although I don't know what's left down in Delaware. The beaches apparently evaporated last weekend with the storm.
Oh, you are so wrong. Do you know what there is up? There's a plethora of these things. They're called traffic lights. So when you go down, in our state. So tell me this, you're driving to the beach, what's your summer go-to song?
Oh, geez. Usually probably, I hate to repeat this because I think we had this question before, but I get into that whole
give me a different
reggae
song.
Rap vibe, Slightly Stupid, Revolution,
Yeah,
still
all right,
on the playlist.
all right. Still on there?
Yeah, or you get into like some, Chesney country just because it kind of they're like party drinking songs.
I don't know why. I just had you driving down with Golden Earring, Radar Love, just blasting down Route 1. All right, you get there, you put your feet up. What's your summer beer of choice?
I just started drinking beer again. It's funny you say that. I'm going with like
me too. 5 minutes ago, I think. No, I'm kidding.
And I'm not that well versed. I haven't gotten into the whole microbrew thing, but like the summer. What do they call them, like pale ales? I don't even know. Like
yeah.
Because I'm not gonna say like Coors
Summer
Light,
seasonal
stuff like
ales.
that. I'm not
Yeah.
getting into all that stuff. But like, there's a summer ale from Sam Adams.
That's a great one.
And I didn't realize like it's limited release. Like they just started distributing it again like a month ago.
Wow, excellent. Have one of those, little crab cake sandwich. You're in
Corona,
heaven there.
you can always do Corona thing. It's more just a piece, state of mind than it is anything. So
It absolutely is. And look, our state of mind here on Deliver More. This has been a great talk. We've covered some great topics today. So Wolf, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who's listening and writing to us here at Deliver More. We couldn't thank you enough for listening and for supporting us. So we're going to see you again next month. My guest today has been Chris Lord. Thank you so much, my man.
always a pleasure, Nick. Thank you.
All right, Deliver More. We'll see you next time from Delaware. Bye-bye.